lifeguarding staff to be increased, leading to a budget or badge fee increase. And with, quote, with the potential for more transient surfers, oceanside street parking, already at a premium, could be overburdened, unquote, will deny a true measure of an accurate taxpayer poll if it's the basis of moving forward with the trial. Consequently, if the trial is dictated by the current survey, the Harvey Cedars surfing families and friends, petition signers, and supporters from LBI and beyond might have a difficult time accepting that ruling. Again, we're talking about unguarded areas outside of flag surfing. We asked the question of numerous towns, and no one added guards to handle this, and we shouldn't have to either.
Okay, Mike. So, this is the start of the conclusion, but it's really not quite the end, so we're getting I have a couple of sections called conclusion. So we're looking forward to implementing this program, and again, trial, no long-term commitments. The trial would be on either side of multiple guard stands, not one side or the other side. Let me say why we want either side. Some mornings, a shallow bar appears, and then 2 hours later the tide comes up, and you can't even surf on that side. You have to surf on the right side of the flags. And so to arbitrarily say we're going to do one side or the other is just sort of limiting it for no reason at all. And we're trying to sort of, I think, mimic what other towns are doing successfully. So on either side of guard stands and in multiple places. And again, unguarded. What we don't want, and I think if the town gave it to us, they would think they're doing us a favor, but what we don't want is another designated surfing beach. Absolutely don't want it. If we just do one outside the flag thing here and one over there, it's just kind of like another designated surfing beach. And I don't think we get there. And so I know it's a discussion if we go forward, and it'd be kind of fun just kind of working out where in the town this should go, but it has to be in multiple places. We think the mayor and the commissioners have done a great job for this town over the years, because decisions, and we've all been here, I look at this crew, everybody's been here forever. Decisions are based on facts, supportable data, empirical evidence. They're not made on gut judgments. They're not made on predispositions. It's not the way this town works, and we're looking for that same level of consideration here. Again, empirical data, just to, I had to look it up, and I use this term my whole life. Experience and observation, that's what it is. It's not hypothetical. It's not purely, it's not made up in any way. It's not a gut judgment. It's not a baseless assertion. It's experience and observation. That's what we're looking for when we look at the facts surrounding surfing outside the flags. As our town executives, and primarily our Commissioner of Safety, Mike Garofalo, turns to Randy, because he's not a safety expert. He needs to turn to his safety expert, and to Rob Bernaford. We all turn experts in life. When they turn to their safety expert, hopefully the safety experts go, we've spoken to every lifeguard captain on the island. Like we have spoken to all the mayors and commissioners. These things work out great. All the facts are in. We should go forward with a trial. That's what we hope happens. All the facts are in. If, on the other hand, we turn to the safety experts and they say, we're the only town that doesn't have outside the flag surfing, but I think it's unsafe, and I don't think we should go forward. If that's the case, and it's been historically that way, if that's the case, what we're asking for is, what are the issues that remain outstanding? But more importantly, what are the facts and the sources of those facts that remain outstanding? So you can't just say, I think it'll be unsafe. Well, where's that data coming from? That's what we would like to know, just to be fair. So we're talking about, like, in life, no matter what it is, if you turn to an expert, we're not doctors, we go to a doctor. We don't have to be a doctor to understand what he says. The doctor says, it disagrees with everybody in the field and says, it's unsafe. You're gonna say to the doctor, give me some facts or figures. I respect you, but give me some facts. If we run a company and we turn to our safety expert, and our safety expert says, yeah, the whole industry does it, but I don't think it's safe. We as the executives are gonna say, well, give me some facts, because I have to go to the board, and I have to go to my shareholders, and I have to have something supportable and documentable. I can't just go, my safety expert thinks it's so, so it's so. It doesn't work that way anywhere in life, and I don't think it should work that way here. We're going to be negative about it. We need to know the facts, and then we talk about it. It's like, if Randy comes up with facts, or Rob sees something he doesn't like, or Mike or the mayor comes up, let's just talk about it, because we don't see it. up and down the island, we just don't see it. So if we keep this decision process based on supportable facts and empirical evidence, we're gonna arrive at a fair resolution. It'll keep the process open and honest. Anything less than that's gonna be unfair to the thousands, and we're talking thousands of people who are, you know, taxpayers, visitors, thousands of people come to the beach and would like to either surf or watch surfers or be part of. People who don't surf love watching surfing. So we're talking about thousands of people. We have over 10,000 people here in the summer, so it's easy to say a couple thousand of them might like surfing. And these people just want surfing in proximity to their homes, not have to go to Hudson, and have the same surfing access to the ocean that's enjoyed by everybody on this island except for residents of Harvey Cedars.
Oh, you there? Okay.
Yeah.
All right, you guys are really close. We're close to finishing.
Yeah, we're almost 30 seconds.
We say in conclusion, our beaches have changed, surfboards have changed, and the definition of a surfer will continue to change. Harvey Cedars tax-paying surfers, their families and friends may cover every cross-section of profession and walk of life, but we all love Harvey Cedars, and we want the best for our community and our kids. The Harvey Cedars wave riding community has been stewards of our beaches for generations. We protect it and those who visit. We respectfully ask the administration to stop regulating this aspect of our lives.
So we just want to turn back to the Commissioner and say, if they can help us, I don't know if it's today's the day we talk about it, but the decision process and the timing, number one, it would be helpful to know a little bit about that. And number two, how is a survey going to be roped into this decision? What is the weight that it'll have? As Jamie said, right now, the way it's positioned to elicit negative answers. And if somebody gives a negative answer based on something that's really not factual, is that a valid thing to do, make a decision on? I would rather throw the decision to you guys, based on facts that you're talking about with our safety guys, not, you know, somebody who gets a survey and is not here, hasn't had the ability to get brushed up on it, and they're asked, do you want surfing? Well, not if you tell me there's a beach badge, right? You know, I'm not gonna pay more for beach badges so these clowns can surf. But that's not that's not reality. Reality is, it's completely, anyway, I'll stop talking. Thank you. Thank you, guys. Really, thank you.
Before we go forward, I've known Mike, you and I have been friends for over 40 years, and Jamie, you and I have been friends for a long time. I want to commend you guys on the presentation you just gave us, because it was done really well, and I think everybody in the room would agree to that. I would like to, Judy, I mean, it's really your meeting now, I don't mean to speak, but I would like to hear if anybody else wants to say anything. We will in a second. Well, why don't we do that, and I'll save my comments and what the process is going to be until after you know, a few people want to have the opportunity to speak. And Judy, why don't you take it from there and call people up?
Okay.
Okay, thanks.
Just state your name and everything.
I'm John Weber. I work for the Surfrider Foundation. I don't live in Harvey Cedars. I don't live on the island. But Surfrider Foundation, if you don't know, is a coastal environmental group. We are concerned with beach access, particularly surfing access as well. So we followed efforts in other towns to get this outside of the flag surfing, first in Township and then in Surf City, obviously as stated and restated, without incident. So that's really good news. So my question is, I don't know if Harvey Cedar wants to intentionally, for any reason, like kind of stick out like a sore thumb on the island and just be the only town that doesn't allow this. Maybe that you want to, maybe there's a reason for that, but if there is a reason, a good reason, I think, you know, the governing body should be forthcoming. What is that reason? Why would you want that? I agree with everything that was said here today. I think, you know, your safety issue is a whole bunch of folks in the surfing corral at Hudson. Like that's your safety issue, and of course going up and down the boulevard as well. I would be much more concerned with that if I were you. So, not as a Surfrider employee now, but just as a person. My family's owned property on the island for like 40 years, oceanfront in Beach Haven, and I can tell you, we rent out in the summer, and I can tell you it's a selling point. People ask, well, can we go surfing right out in front? Well, yeah, you can go surfing right out in front. And some people that used to rent or families, they remember the days. Well, oh great, we don't have to get on our bikes and go all the way down to Nelson, or we don't have to get on our bikes and go down to Taylor, or what, you know. So it's for us personally, you know, just as somebody who rents their house out, it was a point that people wanted that. Can they surf right out in front? like somebody else said, you don't have to separate the families, and it's a good thing. I think the town would do well to really adopt that. Also, not to be against surf rider, but I'm an elected official in my town. So I understand, I get, like, sometimes you're grappling with this bunch of residents wants this thing, and this bunch of residents, they want another thing, and it's your job to, you know, figure it out or come to the best solution or whatever. So I get that, it's not always easy. But to me, this is an easy one. I mean, this is win-win. I don't see a downside to it. I see it benefits the town. I think you're gonna decrease your safety issue, and it's not gonna increase work on the guards and anything like that. So I think it'd be really well to go ahead and do that. So appreciate your time and listening.
Thanks, John.
Yes. John Imperial from East 82nd Street. I'm not a surfer. My family are not surfers. I don't have a friend who comes, and none of us surf. We would all love to see surfing. We're at 82nd Street, and swimming is pretty far down on each side, and we sit there, and it would just be wonderful. So, and I see no reason at all to not allow surfers. We think it would be wonderful. My final thought, that presentation was as good as I've heard, and I'm old, I've been around. And so my final thought is, you can't send a survey out with those questions. I mean, that is as misleading, you know, it just, you hear the presentation, and then you think the question was written by somebody who never heard the presentation. I think it would be extremely unfair. And when I hear a survey going out mid-October, that's in a week or two, it just, that seems to be the only thing we're rushing to do, is send out a survey. That's extremely misleading.
Well, I would like to just address the survey questions. One, there is some concern about the cost. And that is an opinion held by at least part of the board here, that there could be an increase in cost.
Can you elaborate on what you mean by additional costs?
Because of additional lifeguards needed, or additional.
Why would there be additional lifeguards needed?
This is the opinion of one of the governing body.
Well, I understand,
That's his opinion. Why would there be? He feels as.
Give that away.
No, I understand, but if one person's gonna influence that survey that's going out.
Yeah, we can't all talk together. Let's wait for you. If you have questions, wait till
All right.
John's finished, then you're more than welcome to hop in there. But that's, we'll definitely get to it.
I see the floor.
The other issue is the verbiage on the topography and everything. Was written directly from, look, we hire a safety expert. We have one of the best lifeguard captains around. And we like to support our employees. We wouldn't hire him if we didn't think he was good and he knew what he was doing. He's concerned about the topography. He's concerned about
And
the
let me,
differences
if I
in
can
wage.
just jump in and let you know how we kind of got to where we are right now. When Mike started the petition and talked to us, we started the dialogue. The first thing that I did was really, because I am not an expert on I mean, I served for years, but I'm not an expert on beach safety. So I went to Randy, I went to Rob. Rob's the next lifeguard, Randy's the captain. I asked their opinion of it, and as I would do as a manager, I'm gonna gather as much information I can. I'm gonna rely on that as much as I can, and so I make my own decision. That was the process. What we also do in Harvey Cedars is we reach out to our public. And how do we do that? Often it's in a public meeting, but for something like this, it was our idea to come up with a non-binding survey, and for it to go out in the middle of October. John, this has been something that's been discussed pretty much all summer long, both with some verbiage from Mike, some verbiage from us, and it coming down to this. Now, I will say candidly, I'm speaking only for myself, I personally see a problem with a couple of questions, and I agree with you, sir, that perhaps that, we might need to revisit this to make it fair. Now, let me also say that if this is a non-binding survey, I don't personally expect to see a great return on this survey. You know, I don't know if how many we'll get back. I wouldn't be surprised if we didn't get 50 of them back. And some of them will be ban all surfing, some of them will be the other way around. However, I talked to Randy, at the end of our season closeout meeting for the lifeguards, that we're gonna see where their survey goes. And if the majority of people really want this, we might have to revisit what our plan will be in the future. And that would be beneficial to your request. Mike, what's up?
I just want to interject something Judy said, referring back to what Judy said, that Randy is, our town expert, and, he thinks topography is an issue. And as I mentioned, we're talking about facts here. I know as much about topography and safety and beach profile and topography as anybody on this island does. And you cannot document that. I'm telling you right now, you can't document it. We are the only town that doesn't do outside the flag surfing. So by definition, Randy is the only surfing captain on this island that cannot comment on empirical data and empirical evidence related to outside the flag surfing. He's the only one. All the other captains can. Randy's a great captain. There's no doubt about it. But he needs to talk to those other captains. We can't we're in Barrier Island. We're 18 miles long. We're 2 miles right here. The guys to the right of us say it's completely safe, geologically, topography-wise, actual practice. The guys to the left of us, barring the light, it's safe. The rules of the universe are no different here. The physics, the rules of physics, we want to trust our employees, but they have to, like we were talking about with the doctor, or they have to give us facts. You can't just say it. You can't just say it's a gut, I think it's bad. I think there has to be documentation. There has to be empirical evidence,
I get you.
or you're not treating us fair. Or you're not treating the town fair.
Yeah, you
Okay.
explained that well, so. Anybody else want to comment on anything? Robert?
Robert Rue, own a house on 8200 Bay Terrace. We've been there since '56. I've been there since '57. I don't surf, but I body surfed all my life. And been out in a lot of surf, and there's a lot of times when there's gonna be really rough surf, and it's not a red flag day, but it's still rough surf, and as the town, you guys are well aware, there's gonna be a lot of rescues. I embrace the idea of having a surfer out there, out beyond the break, waiting to pick up people drifting out, and I'm very well familiar with the way rips can take people out. When it's big surf, I'll go out with flippers. And there's been many occasions when I've been uncomfortable. I fortunately never had to be saved, but I know there's many times when there's someone gonna be out there with no flippers and could be saved by a surfer, and much more quickly than a lifeguard running off a chair and sprinting across the beach, going through the breakers, and getting out to that person. So I embrace that idea, and the time when there's gonna be more surfers is when the time there's gonna be bigger waves. So again, it just seems to make more sense to have that possibility of an extra person, extra set of eyes, extra set of hands to save somebody. It doesn't make any sense, and it just takes me back to the movie 12 Angry Men, which I think most of this crowd's familiar with, fortunately. There's a point, and Henry Fonda's arguing with the jury, and he says, okay, we've presented all our points. We want to hear your points again, because none of us are convinced now. There makes no sense as to why this shouldn't go through. So, again, I'm looking forward to having this go through. If it doesn't, I think the borough needs to explain why, because we're the only town that doesn't allow it. And there's no comprehensible reason why that shouldn't happen. Thanks.
Anybody else? Yes, sir.
Jim Tyler, I'm in Love Ladies currently, but raised in off Essex. And this is our first year that we spent 80% of our time in Love Ladies. I have young nephews in ages 7, and they have the surfing bug. So I've known Jamie pretty much my whole life and so forth, and the clan on 80th Street. And this is our first year that our families have been apart because our nephew wants to surf every time he goes to the beach. So we go across the street and go to Love Ladies, and then go home and eat lunch instead of nudies and all that other stuff. So it's hard to take the kids there and tell them they can't surf. So we just go across the street. So we miss not hanging out with our friends and so forth that we've been together for 30 some years. But the kids want to surf. And we have yet to have a problem. So. Bob Sicati, 5 East Essex. from Harvey Cedars. Been here for a while, been trying to surf for a number of years, trying to get it down right. Haven't done that yet, but hopefully I will. Recently became a grandfather. I've got a granddaughter that I want to learn. I want to teach her how to surf and get on a nice sponge board and enjoy what I've been enjoying for many years. My biggest concern, I guess, was this statement that the commissioner made regarding the survey that is going to be sent out, and the fact that it seems to be somewhat slanted, and that's probably an understatement in certain areas. And the fact that you said that the head of the lifeguards, and I have to say that I am extremely excited about how Randy's taken our lifeguards and turned them into a really top-notch group of professionals. I say that from the bottom of my heart. But I am concerned that the commissioner said that Randy might have to consider, if they come back 50, 60, and the predominant response is, yeah, we'd like to see surfing going forward, even if it's slanted, that he'd have to rethink his thought process. I'm not sure if I phrased that correctly or not, but that would be deeply concerning to me, that he's relying that survey that he slanted to come back and force him to now rethink the process.
Well,
Because
perhaps I didn't explain the position well. The survey being slanted, I mean, I'll speak to that in a second, but ultimately this is going to be my decision, and because that's the way we work. The reason that we've been together for so many years as a commission form of government is because we do disagree about some things, but overall we'll work together and we'll try to come to a consensus, but not always. But the way this form of government works is we have control over our departments, and mine happens to be public safety. And Randy is directly under me. And while I'll work closely with him, I have certainly no problem with making my own decision based on the data, the facts, and basically from my heart. I feel as though, and I know that this is not going to be real popular up here, that we need to think a couple of those questions, because I struggle with them. And if I struggle with my heart, then I have to go with that. However, I do want to say that there's been some slanted questions over this process all summer long, and we worked pretty well, Mike. You know, we've got some of your slanted questions that we felt off,
Are they based on
and
facts?
it's been a negotiation, you know, going back and forth. However, the bottom line is, maybe it didn't wind up perfect at the end, and we'll work on that. But I feel as an elected official that it's very important to me to get the pulse of our constituents, and we're gonna try to do that. I'm not gonna say that we're gonna be able to do that though, because like I said before, I don't know how many people are really going to take the time to send this back, okay? But not to fret. The bottom line is the buck stops here, you know? So you guys have done an outstanding job in your presentation. I want to commend everybody in the room here on being polite and respectful and listening to both myself, Judy, John, and everybody else who spoke tonight. We've been doing this a long time. I'm the young guy, but I think I've been here 18 years, and we've been through some kind of rough meetings. And this is, in my recollection, the most cordial, professional, productive meeting that I can recall, and that's a credit to all of you. So, with that said, here's what I think the process, as I see it, is going to be. I think we have a discussion about this. Mike, we talked to you about what our discussion comes to. We come to a consensus of something that is fair. I think if it is not fair, I don't think it should be sent out. That's my personal feeling, but we're gonna talk about this together. And then it goes out, it comes back in an amount of time, and we look at the data, and we see where it comes from, we see what it says. And then we make a decision, not just based on that data, but based on other factors as well. I mean, I've talked to people in town about this, and it's been kind of mixed, you know, but I'll be honest with you, it's been mostly favorable to surfing, you know, totally honest, you know, and that's kind of where we stand now. I think everybody knew coming into this, we weren't gonna make a decision tonight, but I got some good information, and I think we all did, and your point was well made. That's the bottom line for me. Anybody else have anything to say? Yeah, Mike.
You know, I know I'm repeating myself. But when Randy is asked, again, because you guys are gonna meet, I know, you know, all you guys are gonna meet together. When you guys meet again, the question has to be asked, have you squared your negative views on this serving outside the flag with all of the other captains on the island? What have those other captains told you? When you talk to Tom Smith and Mark DeLeo, what did they, you guys gotta work that out together. It can't just be, I think this and so and so and so. It just can't be that. That's, okay, that's the 5th time I said that.
I got it.
Please, it's the most important thing. It's the most important thing.
I can say it again, Rick.
Yeah.
Yeah, Mike, I'm not gonna take a lot of time. You know who I am. I'm Greg Chigian. I've been an island kid since I was 6 years old. I'm not gonna repeat everything, but I stand in support of trying this.
And I think that's important, that this is a trial, and Mike, that's all you've ever asked for,
Yeah.
is a trial going on. And one thing I did not know, Mike, in your presentation, that you're really looking for this at one side, either the windward side or the leeward side of the beach, not both sides of the beach?
No, both sides.
Oh,
Both sides.
both sides?
That's
Oh, I
important.
missed
No,
that.
because the bars change hour to hour on the
So
times.
would it be on both sides all the time? in
Yeah.
other words? So they could switch, okay, I misunderstood, that it
Yeah.
would start this way, but it might switch that way depending
No,
on the
because
conditions.
then you're making,
Okay.
you know, it's like,
Okay,
you
no,
start
it's
with
no
both
big
sides.
thing, I
Yeah.
just misunderstood it. Yeah.
Barb Lehman, Long Beach Boulevard. My question is, why will it add costs in Harvey Cedars? And they stated it didn't add $1 in all the other 5 municipalities. That is my question.
Good question.
Why is this? Why should it add more for Harvey Cedars and it didn't affect any other community on this island?
Good question. That was the opinion of one member of the governing body that we would, I'm just telling you, that's the question I'm
It's just a
answering.
question.
It's just the opinion, and, that we would need more lifeguards, and, well, that's.
Something more than I had, Mike, or? Sorry. No, a point to counter that might be that it would also be offset by additional badge revenue by people now coming to Harvey Cedars to enjoy this opportunity that they've been denied before. So I think that could very likely be offset, and in fact, we would generate revenue. I think that might be a good question to throw in there. Would you be welcome to having additional revenue generated in the town by allowing surfing? Just saying.
Thank you. I'd like to add something to that effect. And I did a little bit of research on badge revenues throughout the island and budgets for lifeguards, and I sent them your way. And I know you guys had an opportunity to review that information. And, you know, I don't need to throw the cat out of the bag, but there is significant benefits to allowing this population. It is a revenue source. And, you know, I have all of my data here, but off the top of my head, I think Ship Bottom's lifeguard budget is about $410,000. They have $750,000 in badge revenue. Surf City, I believe their budget is about the same as Ship Bottom, maybe a little bit less, like $380,000. I believe they made about $582,000 in beach badge revenues. Our town is upside down on revenue versus lifeguard budget. Our budget is larger than our badge revenues, and we're the only town on the island that has that situation. And I'm not trying to, you know, throw the administration under the bus, but truly, this is an opportunity for revenues. And, you know, so the idea of adding more lifeguards for something that could potentially add more revenue it's troubling for me, because I think it could be beneficial. And, you know, I was a lifeguard here for back in the early 90s, and we allowed surfing outside the lifeguard flags. I guess we weren't supposed to do that, but and we didn't have all the quads and the police going up and down and the truck, and I mean, we had very little. And we had 2 guards on 80th Street. I was one of them, and we did just fine. I recognize there's probably more people on the beach these days, but generally, we didn't have any issues. And I don't know what your budgets were from 1990 to 1992 when I was a lifeguard, but I do know what they are for the past 5 years. And you know, and I just see it as an opportunity for the town, and in not a scary way either. I think there's families out there who would drive a little bit further onto the island to come to Harvey Cedars instead of driving to Barnegat Light or landing right in Ship Bottom. And these are people that want to spend a whole day there or longer. So that's all I'll say.
I will say that when we do our budget, one thing that we consider is anticipated beach badge sales. And I will say that I don't think any town, because when you look at the cost of running the beach, it is not just the salaries and wages and the OE compared to the sales. What's not figured in there is the public works aspect of it. Now, Barnegat Light, they don't groom their beaches, they pick up their garbage and things like that, but here we do more things like grooming. So the actual break-even point is a little deceiving in the numbers that you sent us, because it doesn't include the true component of the overall cost of running the beach. Your data is correct, though, as far as the budget and badge sales are true, but there's another component in there that really needs to be considered. And our revenues fell short on our badge sales for whatever dynamic that Harvey Cedars is going through. I have my own feeling is that certainly our rentals are down in Harvey Cedars as our rental properties are disappearing and other homes are being used for single-family homes, but that's another issue. I don't want to tie it up with that. Yes?
Just some data on surfing and some money spending that we collected when I was doing this research for Surf City. On average, when a surfer comes in from outside of town, in that town, they spend an average of $70. So that's a lot of money for someone coming in. If they're going to get lunch somewhere, or whatever, you know, you guys have a bunch of different little cute places you could stop in Harvey Cedars to stop and get lunch.